Have you taken the training? I mean, all the training, the courses, the seminars, the workshops, and still struggle to lead effectively? Why is that? Why is it that you know what you're supposed to do, but when you get into those situations, it just doesn't work out the way it's supposed to? That's, my dear, what we're going to talk about today. My name is Leadership Development Coach Kathy Archer, and I am the author of best-selling book, Mastering Confidence. Welcome to the training room today. Bite-sized training for busy women leaders who want to lead with confidence. Today we are talking about why is it that we have all of this training and we still struggle to do that? What's going on for us that doesn't let us apply what we've learned? Before we get there, I'm going to share this into my Confident Women Leaders community. If you are not in that community, there is a link up in the side and you can join that. While I'm doing that, just type in the chat box, whether you're watching now on live or on the replay, just name a course that you've taken and that perhaps you've struggled to apply. Just put the name of the course in there. Why I'm sharing this. Oops, I shared it to the wrong thing. Just a sec. Share group, Confident Women Leaders group. Always takes me a half a second to do that. Okay, so why is it that you take all of this training, but you still struggle? I mean, we've taken the courses, conflict resolution, managing teams, staff meetings 101, the 7 skills in leadership. I mean, we've taken all that training, right? And then when we go sit down to run that staff meeting, and we know we're supposed to go do, and it goes do, and you're like, what just happened there? They're not following the program. Or you know how to have that conversation with somebody about their performance. I mean, you've taken all the training about difficult conversations, and you get in there, and what happens? You shut down, or you cancel the meeting, or you just smooth things over. You share the news, and then you're like, but it's okay. Or sometimes what happens is we kind of get stiff and rigid, and we share the information without sort of feeling or compassion or emotion. We're just like, okay, you need to fix this and do this better, and here's the things you need to do, and this is the date you need to do it by, and let me know how that goes for you. Right? That doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel authentic. And when we start to realize we're not doing what we know we should do, are supposed to do, have been trained in doing, we do one of two things. First, what we do is we start to look at ourselves as incompetent, inept. Oh my God, I can't seem to manage my time and do that. Or I'm never going to be good at conflict situations, or I can't lead. I've never been a leader. I don't know why they put me into this position. And you start to really question your abilities. And we beat ourselves up. We are critical. We're judgmental about ourselves. And we go down that whole path in milliseconds sometimes, or sometimes we carry that on for days and weeks, about how inept we are, how we're not the best we can be, how we are afraid we're going to be found out. That's when imposter syndrome sneaks in. You've probably heard of that, where you are feeling like you're in a position that you shouldn't be, that maybe you don't have enough education, enough experience, you're not good at applying what you should be doing, and you're kind of afraid that somebody's going to find out and boot you out or call you out, right? So we go down that whole path. We take the training, we've read the book, we're skilled at doing this, we have the technique, and we get into the situation we can't do it, and we beat ourselves up. Or the other thing we do is we blame and finger point and push it away. Well, I don't have enough time. Well, they don't work with me. Well, this workplace doesn't allow that kind of stuff to happen. It's all of the red tape. It's the politics. And we push it away like it's somebody else's fault, not ours. It's not my fault I can't do this. The organization sends me to training, but man, I don't have the resources to apply it. Who has the time to meet with staff on a regular basis? And who has the opportunity to do that kind of stuff? Not me, certainly. I'm too busy. I've got all these other things to do. And so we either blame ourselves or we blame somebody else. And in that place, we feel stuck. All of that might have some truth to it. There's no doubt in my mind that you are a busy person, and there's no doubt in my mind that you have a crap load of politics in your organization and systems that you have to jump through. That does all get in the way. I'm certain it does. And there's something else going on for you. There's something else that's actually getting in your way of applying what you've learned to do. So let's take, for example, you're walking into a conversation with an employee or a coworker or your boss, and you know that you have to sort of say this thing, and it feels uncomfortable. And you know that the book or the training said, do these 3 steps, say it this way, then this way, and, the good old sandwich technique. Tell them something good, give them the information, tell them something good again, right? You know the technique. And you get in there and you're like, and you shut down, right? And here's what happens. The reason you struggle with all of this, the reason you have a challenge with all of this is because you're not aware of what's going on inside of you. And then what you tend to do is you react. So you have a thought, a feeling, there's something going on inside of you. You don't notice it. It hits you, bam, and you react. It's that thought that creates that feeling that gets in your way of applying the stuff. So let's say you're having that conversation with somebody. You have a thought about them. You have a judgment about them. You have an opinion about them. Just a sec. I got to blow my nose here for a second. Sometimes it's cold. I'm in the basement and it's cold in the basement. So when you go into that conversation with them, you have a thought about them. And that thought is, they like me, they don't like me. They respect me, they don't respect me. They think I'm good at my job, they don't think I'm good at my job. You have all of those thoughts about them that are creating this lens in front of you. So when you're having that conversation with them, it's like, how you're not getting a good Wi-Fi signal, and it's because there's something in between you and the modem. That's what that opinion or that judgment is. It's in between you and that other person. And it's creating that block. So not only do you have a judgment about them, a thought, an opinion, you also have a judgment and opinion about yourself. I don't like him, and he knows it, and so he's, picking me apart. I'm not very good at conversations, and so when she comes back at me, I'm going to wither and faint and not be able to say it. We have those thoughts that trigger us, that hijack us, that hit us sideways, and we're not aware of them. We are completely unconscious of them. We don't know that they're there. We're not aware that there's that opinion, judgment, perspective, filter, whatever. We're not aware of that. And when we're not aware of that, it clouds our vision. And we can't have that conversation, do that thing that the training said we should be able to do, because suddenly it's triggered something in us. So let me give you an example. Try and give you an example that's not going to point fingers at somebody. I'm like, I have all these wonderful examples in my personal life in the last couple of days. Probably not a good idea to share them right now. So let me give you a kind of workplace example. So I walk into a meeting recently, and someone is there and they ask about the prep that I've done prior to the meeting. And I haven't done the prep. And, what I want to do is come back at them and say, why didn't you do the prep? Aren't you going to do the prep list? I thought it was your job to do the prep. If I can catch myself in time, what I can realize is that there was a trigger there about somebody's judging me and my ability to do my job. Somebody questioned whether I was organized, whether I was devoted or committed, whether I was moving the organization forward. And that's a question in my mind, if I'm aware of this, about my leadership and my ability to lead. If I'm not aware of that, it's going to make me come back at that person and say, you were supposed to do it. Why didn't you do it? Or I don't have time, right? That blaming, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. It's summertime and I don't have time for this. And I didn't get the email, even though I did get the email, right? And so we can do all of that if we're unconscious. when we become conscious of what's triggering us, that comment that that person made kind of reminded me of how my mom or dad used to treat me. That conversation is very similar to the one that I had with my kid this morning, and I'm feeling like I'm just scrambling and fried and nothing I can do is right anymore. And when we can realize that, we can get a hold of it. The reason you are struggling to do what you want to do is because you have not done the inner work. You haven't taken the time to slow down and become more aware of those feelings, those thoughts, and what causes you to react instead of respond. You have not slowed down enough. And I'm not talking about, going on this Zen retreat and meditating for an hour every day and journaling for, an hour every day. That's not what I'm talking about. All of those things would be lovely. And if you could fit them in, great, do that. Most of us can't. But like 1 minute in the middle of your day to step back and go, whoa, something just hit me. What was that? And to go, oh, they said this, my body reacted this way, and I made that comment. And that made me feel this way, and they react. And to back it up and start to put all the puzzle pieces together. I had this conversation with somebody the other day, and she was livid with somebody we both know. And she was like, rah, 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 rah. And my first reaction is to go, I know, blah, 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 blah. When I slow it down and go, wait a minute, I don't want to get caught up in the gossip. This isn't about me. And you know what? I'm not helping her see it's not about her either. And when I was able to do that, I responded again to her with a text and said, you know what? I suspect that what this person did had nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing. And I don't think she's out to get you. I wonder if there's a way that you can just let her be her and not let it wreck your day. And so I was doing a little bit of role modeling. I was doing a lot of questioning my own values, questioning my own character and the traits that I want to be known for in the world. I don't want to be known as a gossip. I don't want to be known as somebody that you can come and vent and moan and complain about the other person to. What I do want to be known for is somebody who is compassionate, respectful, has a good listening ear, but that listening ear doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to agree with everything you said and let you be the victim of your circumstances. I'm going to try and empower you to take some responsibility back. That's who I want to be known for. In the past, I've been really good at, getting sucked into the gossip and, oh my God, she drives me crazy. And that's not the way I want to lead or live my life. And if I'm going to change those character traits in me, if I'm going to apply the skills that I know I've learned and can do, I have to become conscious, and so do you. How do you do that? You do the inner work. I know that most of us hit this point in our career where we start to feel that in over our heads, and we're wondering if we have what it takes to lead. I say that at the beginning of all of these videos. And then what I say is I give you the inner and outer tools, inner and outer. And if you notice, I spend a lot of time focusing on the inner tools. If you've only been focusing on the outer tools, that's why you've been struggling. You have to go inside. You have to identify, what are my values? What's most important to me? What's the hills I will die on? What are my morals and ethics? What do I believe in? What are my trigger points? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How can I use my strengths better? How can I help other people identify my weaknesses, and so that we can work around those? What's that inner self-awareness that I need to create? Because that's what creates an incredible leader. The most successful, the most empowering, the most courageous leaders have done a ton of self-reflection, and they are very self-aware. They've done the inner work. If you want to apply all of what you've learned effectively, powerfully, confidently, competently, you need to do the inner work. A few minutes a day, a question here, a thought there, a pause there, a reflection here, a ponder there. It's the whole inner guidance cycle, which is one of the guide sheets that I have up in the notes. You have to pause. That might be actually kind of stepping back out of your day for 2 or 3 minutes. I'm not talking an hour. 2 or 3 minutes to just put the phone down, walk away from the computer, separate yourself from people and go, whew, what's going on here? It is taking out a piece of paper and going, I just had an incredible, uncomfortable conversation with somebody, and writing down what happened and starting to dissect in some ways, reverse engineer what went on so you can realize where the triggers were and how to change that. It's the inner work. And so if you want to do that, make sure you go over and get that guide sheet. The other guide sheet that I have is all about self-awareness. And then I've also put the link in for you to watch the whole video I did on self-awareness. So the Leadership Circle Profile is one of the tools that I use to help you assess yourself as a leader. And it goes through the core competencies that effective leaders have. And one of those is self-awareness. So I did a whole session on self-awareness. So that's where you can pop back and grab that. The bottom line is, my dear, you have to do the inner work. You have to commit to going inside and doing some self-reflection. You have to become self-aware, and that takes time. Doesn't happen in an 8-hour training. It doesn't happen in a 2-hour webinar. It doesn't happen in a 20-minute Facebook Live that I offer you. It happens when you take the worksheet that I give you and you print it off and you go do it. It happens when, if you've already signed up for Blueprint for Change or the Mastering Confidence course or the webinar this afternoon, that you do the work. You cannot sit there and listen only and think you are going to change. You have to go inside, do some inner reflection, and that's not always easy. Sometimes that's incredibly difficult. You have to make time for that. You don't always have time in the middle of your day when the shit's hitting the fan to go, oh, what am I feeling? What's going on in my body? That doesn't always happen. Sometimes you can, and when you get better at this, you can do it in the middle of your day. But you're probably going to have to carve out 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there to do this. There was a situation a few days ago, and I was livid. It hit me. I went like from 0 to 100 in seconds, but I couldn't deal with it at that moment. I couldn't cry. And that's what I needed to do. I needed to like, let it all out, right? I made time for that later in the day. And I just tucked it away temporarily. I didn't push it down so that it would never come out. I just tucked it away in a safe spot until I could deal with it. I was looking at an old journal yesterday from 2005, and that was one of the things that I wrote down in there. I was up at, I don't remember what time, middle of the night, and my husband was asleep and the kids were all asleep, and I was journaling because I was so frustrated and lots of stuff had gone on. And what I wrote in that journal at that point was, I need to cry where nobody's going to stop me. I just need to cry my heart out. And sometimes that's what we need to do to get through whatever's happening for us. Sometimes we need to hop in our vehicle and yell and scream where nobody can hear us yelling and screaming. Sometimes we just need to sit quietly and let it hit us. And sometimes that's a negative feeling, and sometimes it's a warm, fuzzy feeling. We miss those a lot of times too. So make sure that you make time to do the inner work. Grab the guide sheets up in the notes. Print the worksheets off. Go back to silverrivercoaching.com/guides. Go through all of those. Find some that speak to you. Do the inner work. If you're in one of my courses, go back to the lessons and do the lessons. If you're not, just hop over to my homepage, silverrivercoaching.com. They're at the bottom. You have to commit to doing this long term. You will not change overnight. This isn't going to change in a week or a month. And probably it is changing in that week and a month, but it's going to be 3 or 6 months before you really notice it. You have to commit to it now and be as consistent as you can about it. The inner work is what makes the difference for you. If you want to apply all of that training you've taken, if you want to use those skills you know how to use, do the inner work so that you can do them. That's, my dear, what's going to move you from surviving to thriving in both your leadership and your life. Go make the rest of your day awesome, my dear.